Now we welcome Mr. Jamil Al-Khatib. Mr. Al-Khatib is founder of Ibtikar, an innovation technology management company. He is also the manager of the Innovation and Entrepreneurship program of the German Jordanian University with more than 19 years of work experience in innovation development and management. Mr. Al-Khatib is a certified trainer and facilitator at several institutes that focus on entrepreneurship, innovation, and technology transfer. From organizations such as International Youth Foundation and Mowgli Foundation. Mr. Jamil will deliver a presentation on open innovation structure and incentive of SMEs. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here with us, and it's been always my pleasure to be part of LES Arab countries' activities. I've been collaborating with the society for maybe more than 12 years now. So I'll be talking today in this session about open innovations. But before that, I always like to talk about what I've done, what my trip to this innovation journey. I started in the 90s at Siemens, and I was lucky to be part of the R&D team where we developed actually products from scratch in the electronics and telecommunication field. But after a while, I started thinking what's happening with what the products that we are doing. It's not always successful. Although we were, or the company is a very large, huge organization with more than like around 500,000 employees around the world and investments more than some countries. It's okay. The main question is why our products were failing sometimes. And the other major question related to innovation. Although there are some creative people, but not always become creative as expected. So these were two questions that led me to search for answers, to look for these solutions for these problems. And I found that this is a program related to innovation management in Germany, where I studied there and came back later, few years after, to share my experience with Jordan and the Arab countries here, where I started my company, Ibtikar, in the field of innovation management and focusing on supporting innovation in the region. So this is the short journey, what I've done, but I want also to ask you, why always we look about innovation as light bulb? This is like the symbol of innovation. It's always we see when we see this innovation or the term innovation as a light bulb. Is it something related to the bulb itself, or is it something related to the ideas or innovations? There are different answers might be. But although these innovations, we can see a lot of these inventions and technologies and new solutions, or we consider them as innovations. But why exactly they are innovations? Why there are many other inventions that are not seen as innovations? So this is what we need always to define. How can we define the innovation? Innovation, simply as His Excellency explained, it's more than ideas that work. So this is the main concept of innovations. But in our company, we try to come up with this formula for innovation, where it's defined as identifying the challenges. So first step is to identify a challenge that we'd like to solve, so we can develop the solution. And then, which is the most important aspect, if it's not happening, it's not an innovation, which is the exploitation of the results, or the commercialization in terms of the commercial values. And the exploitation, it's more into just using these technologies, using these inventions, where the inventions can be part of the solution development. These are the three main elements of any innovation: problem or challenge identification, solution or inventions, and then commercializing or exploiting the results to be innovation. So it's very important to think about it as innovation, especially these days. It's always changing words. happening, and it's a must nowadays. It's not only just a concept or a topic. If you don't do it, we will die. Whether economies, companies, individuals, if you are not developing innovations, will not have any progress. So this is, in short, what innovations, in my opinion, and try to ask you now about these companies. What do you think about something common in these companies? Is there any idea other than being innovators? Any suggestion? Successful, okay. Successful because they are innovators, maybe. What else? Mm-hmm. They are all focusing on the concept of open innovation. They are trying to utilize this concept beyond the traditional concept of development. Why is that? Because they are thinking the main sources of innovations not only related to in-house, the employees or the staff, it's also with the partners, with the customers. So these are sources of innovations, sources of ideas. As you can see in this diagram, although it's a little bit old, but it's still valid till today. There are many innovations that are happening outside the boundaries of your company or your organization. If you cannot understand their needs and their partners' available solutions, you cannot innovate alone. So what's open innovation? This term started to appear in literature and business in 2003, around 2003, which focused more on in the flows of knowledge, in and out flows of knowledge, to accelerate the development of innovations. How is that? Usually in the traditional innovation approach, which is the closed innovation, everything happens inside the boundaries of the organization. So all sources of ideas, all kind of opportunities happened within the research, then developed to provide a solution. While in the open innovation, we can go beyond the boundaries of the company. We can collaborate with others, find results, find solutions, which can be like this approach in the funnel of innovation, where you can get ideas from outside, get technologies from outside, build and collaborate within what you have inside your company, and develop your solutions. But not only your solution or product. You can go beyond your market, other than your traditional markets, and this is what I'll show later. So this is, in general, the concept, going beyond the boundaries of your company or your organization to get innovation. So this is the more successful approach. That's why it's being adopted by many companies around the world. So it's more helping, building on the efforts of each other in order to achieve better results. So it's more giving time to innovate within short period, produce or provide less risks for you and reduce the costs, because everything will be shared between the different organizations in order to reach new markets, better markets. And this is what's important for, especially for SMEs in our region, because we are a small country. We cannot usually access large countries or economies. So partnering and developing our innovations with others, it helps us reach better access to the new markets. And not only that, this is a comparison between the different areas of revenues and profit. As you can see, within the closed innovation model, you can invest a lot in order to generate some limit of revenue. But in the open innovation approach, you still can invest, reduce the cost, get similar revenue size, but you have other opportunities because you'll have new businesses. If you develop something new in collaboration with other organizations, so you can go out. You can spin out some new products to new markets that you are not involved or traditionally involved in. So if you are in the automotive market, you can go maybe to computer market. If you are developing some part of the electronics for your computer, for your car, so this is can help in reducing costs and increasing revenues. So this is a better approach, especially for our region, with the lack of resources, lack of investments, lack of even technical expertise sometimes. So this is an approach that is being adopted globally by large companies collaborating with SMEs and startups. These can be defined to different types. Usually the full open innovation where it's open for any topic and any type of partners. While the traditional partnerships, it's more focused on very specific topics and very specific areas that lead to a very specific product. While the full open innovation can be generate new things. Okay, so although this seems that easy, but it's not always that just sitting together and developing new solutions and exchanging ideas. There are different factors that would help this. So for example, there should be a good network of partners, good network of companies, startups relating to your field. And within the organization, within the company itself, there should be a structure that would help the organization to deal and collaborate with others. Because sometimes the collaboration with outsiders is difficult, but if we have a proper structure within the company, that would help you dealing with the externals. And the most important aspect is the process. What kind of process that would facilitate this collaboration with this involvement with external partners? Besides that, shared infrastructure, suitable infrastructure, whether digital infrastructure or physical labs that can facilitate the collaboration and generating new innovations. So these are most important elements for any open innovation system within organizations. But besides that, there are different factors. I will not go through all of them. The most important is to have a clear goal of what you want to innovate. Where do you want to innovate? What's the objective of this open innovation model? What's the objective of building this network, building these partnerships? This is most important aspect, besides having clear facilitation approach between the different organizations, different startups, different companies. So these are the two main important aspects, in my opinion, besides the commitment. If there is no commitment from all partners, would not be able to help developing the innovation. But this commitment is linked to the clear goals. If you have clear goals, you'll have committed partners and you have committed employees within your organization. So these are the most important factors. But in spite of all this, there are some challenges, different challenges, and here are some of these, but I want to focus on the legal challenges. Is it clear? The legal challenges which is related to IP, the challenges related to intellectual property, who owns what can we do, collaborating, but there are different possibilities. So the challenges related to IP that can be solved is first to have a clear commercial and IP objectives. Do you want to invent a new product? Do you want to have a new business model? Do you want to have solutions? Do you want to share these solutions? It should be clear before we go for the IP. The other thing is to have this fee for the services. Are you going to do it together for free between the partners, or do you want to have some external to facilitate? Or do you want to have a joint venture actually to establish something new? So these are different IP challenges. Who will own this IP? This is what's important, to have an early IP agreements. From the beginning, you can say this IP, the result IP will be owned by this and this, or will be shared, but not to overcomplicate the agreements from the beginning. Because if you overcomplicate these agreements, the collaboration or the partners will be hesitant to share ideas. So this is need to have some balanced before we can go to licensing agreements, and so should also focus on long-term relationship and collaboration. So these are it's not one day, especially for the innovation. It takes long time to develop and to get results. So if you focus only on a very small area, it might not be successful. The other area for the IP, we need to know who owns what. So it's what's called background or foreground IP. Before we start the collaboration, I need to see what kind of IP that I have and what the IP that owned by others. So this is important to know them. And also with the resulting IP, how can we share them? What can we give access? Are we going to give access to everyone in this partnership? Are we going to give fees? So we need to have a clear conclusion or understanding from the beginning. Yeah, sure, the IP ownership is important, but also the resulting IPs, the result models. Are we going to, for example, some companies, especially in the technology field, in the software, they can publish their IPs for free as open source, or they can exchange the licensing, which is happening also often with, sometimes with the pharmaceutical companies, exchange the licensing. Or even for high-tech companies, they exchange these license, the results. So these are some IP challenges that should be considered from the beginning. Yeah, it seems that a lot of challenges, but once we agree on these terms, you'll speed up the innovation process, you'll reduce the costs and produce better results. So here are some companies that dealt with this. Dell, you know the Dell computer, they started the programs from the beginning on collaborating with their consumers to get feedback, to get input from them in order to develop themselves the solutions. So this type of collaboration are called co-creation, which also the Lego developed this solution where they have a lab for kids and innovators to develop a new solutions for Lego. And this is what led also to what they produce the Lego Digital Designer, which is an online platform that anyone can pick the bricks and develop some models with that, as well as the robots, what they are developing these solutions, the software that are available online for young generations to play with robots and produce some results. As well as IKEA, they have one of the main organizations that develop their furnitures based on the collaboration with their customers, with their partners, with their suppliers. So these are companies that work on the open innovation models. I will not go a lot about more examples, but we'll talk in the following session how we can utilize also the Industry 4.0 and open innovation approach. So this is a brief about the open innovation. And yeah, I'll be glad also to announce that we have a training with LES in this field in innovation management for SMEs. If you would like to have more information, maybe with Sajda or Majd, or where is Majd. So yeah, this is what I want to say for this session, and I will continue in the following session about the new technologies and its relation with this field. I don't know if you have some time for questions or no? Okay. If there is no question, I don't know what's question.
In one of your slides, you presented that the closed models in the past was even more competitive
This one.
The present one.
Yeah.
What actually changed? What was the cause for that problem?
The complexity of innovation. This is the complexity. When Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, he needed a little resources, although a lot of experiments, but it's not like innovating now new LED solutions or LED light bulb. It's different from that perspective. That's why the complexity of these technologies.
Startups company.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just explain in more detail? Because I see some challenges to have an open approach model, especially when you are a startup and you want to use a third party. Probably some of them, if you are using a third or a shared services from outsider, which are for most or less are mature businesses, and they might even absorb the financial resources of the company or probably put into a direction which they don't want to be there. So don't you think this might discourage them probably and they will end up doing an internal development instead of using third party? Because usually this is, they're dealing with, yeah, I know you say you have to be a partner. Definitely, I will only match up with a company which are mature companies. I will not go to a startup company to the venture also to provide me the service because I'm already a VC already or a startup. Can you just elaborate on that more?
It's usually the startups maybe if they want to develop their own products, it's much better to collaborate with companies within their size first thing, and try to partner with larger companies in order to validate their solutions. Once they are having mature product or solutions. Now, the other side, if a large company would like to collaborate with these startups, it's much better to share the objectives of the large companies and the capabilities of these startups in order to have this kind of collaboration. But again, it should always happen with the IP. They should consider the IP issues. And usually, if it's running by large companies, they can have the facilitation approach. So by externals sometimes. So in order to get win-win solutions and to have clear agreements. So this might be a role for LES International or some organizations like this to facilitate such collaboration. Okay. There's no other questions. I'll see you. Question?
Challenges regarding startups and large companies.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think generally, in your experience, the terms and conditions that these large companies agree with smaller companies do achieve a win-win situation, or do you think small companies need to be very careful about engaging with much larger companies for this?
Yeah. First, they should be careful, especially if it's only a collaboration between large and a startup, large company and a startup. This will be like a business deal more than an open innovation. But if there is a group of companies, startups that develop different set of solutions, and this might explain it later in the next session in Industry 4.0. It's not a solution that comes from one individual startup. They should collaborate different startups with a large company. This will protect them always and create also better value for the large company. But if it's only one small company, one startup, and one large company, it will be more like into this approach, the one in the left side, the lower left corner. It's just one solution, one partner, just develop it. It's outsourcing, basically. Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot for your attention.
يعطيكم ألف عافية. شكرا لحضوركم معنا.